The GCN Show!
Welcome to the GCN Show. Coming up this week, we discuss whether cycling superstar of the moment, Peter Sagan, is actually all style and no substance.
We uncover new tech, including the latest and greatest wonder material for bikes, nanocellulose. Alberto Contador makes a return to cycling, and there's a whole lot more as well.
This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that cycling, talking and ice are not necessarily a great combination.
Let's just leave it there, shall we? And find out what happened a little bit later on.
Yeah, let's do that. Also in the world of cycling this week, we learnt that while gravel bikes can take you to places far beyond your conventional road bike, i.e. into the wilderness, with that comes an element of responsibility. For example, helping sheep.
Hey, nice and chaps.
GFN, or Global Farming Network, probably isn't going to be coming to a screen near you.
Is it not?
Well, I mean,
Shame.
not with us at the helm anyway, I suppose.
No. This week in the world of racing, though, it's very much business as usual down in Australia. Amanda Spratt backs up her win from the Tour Down Under last year with a second consecutive one this time around. And Peter Sagan won the opening men's race in the form of the People's Choice Criterium.
Yeah, given that his last race was in fact the World Championships in 2017, which of course he won, that really is business as usual, isn't it? Seems, at this early stage at least, like he has emerged from the winter all guns blazing.
Well, given the glimpse that we had into his gym routine quite recently, I don't think that fact was ever in doubt, was it?
True. I still can't quite believe my eyes with that video. Now, the cycling world is without doubt enthralled to the talents of Peter Sagan, and like most cycling fans, Dan and I have actually been discussing whether or not he is in fact the greatest rider of all time.
No, was the quite emphatic answer to our
Categorically,
discussion, wasn't
no,
it?
yeah.
Which led us to then discussing whether the current Sagan fever is basically all down to style and none of it down to substance. I mean, if you just leave aside those 3 World Championships titles for a moment.
The unprecedented feat of...
Well, yeah, but it's only unprecedented because they were consecutive, because actually 4 other riders have won the World Championships on 3 occasions before him.
True. Well, there are 5 green jerseys, obviously, at the Tour de France.
Yes, but Eric Zabel won 6, and they were off the bat consecutive.
Very good point, actually. So he's not even the greatest of all time win the green jersey competition at the Tour de France.
So, the next question we asked ourselves was, what would Sagan actually have to do to become a GOAT, or the greatest of all time?
The answer is really quite simple. He'd have to win all 3 of the Grand Tours at least once, and considering he's got 1 monument already to his name, he'd only have to win another 18 to equal Eddie Merckx.
Huh?
Well, that should be quite simple for him, then, shouldn't
Absolutely.
it? There's a lot of debate, though, and quite rightly so, about the differences in the sport of cycling between the 60s and the modern era, and whether utter domination is actually a lot harder now than it was back then. In fact, I would say that Merckx-like domination is impossible in the modern era, however talented you are.
I think I'm inclined to agree, actually. So maybe we should reframe the question and put it in a fairer context. Are there even any cyclists currently racing who are greater? I mean, Valverde, controversially perhaps, has a greater set of results to his name, even though he has been racing for a greater number of years. Mark Cavendish, perhaps, he's got 1 monument to his name as well. Only 1 world title, but then that staggering number of Tour de France stage victories. And then let's just say that it's just as well that Boonen and Cancellara have recently retired.
That is true. So it's quite evident then that in pure results terms, Sagan is lagging behind somewhat.
Do you want to tell him or shall I?
Well, he surely will watch this, won't he? So he'll know. Right. So what then, you have to ask yourself, makes us all think that he's so amazing? Because we all do, don't we?
We do, all think he's great. I think, for me, Dan, firstly, it's just because he's so exciting to watch when he's racing a bike. We don't normally celebrate second place very much in cycling, but the number of near misses that he has amassed is testament to just how hard he tries to win races with panache.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, it is quite remarkable, given how fast he is as a sprinter, how many times he decides to go on the attack in the closing stages, to whistle the group down, or even to try and win the race solo. In fact, though, I think that style and that skill is a big part of greatness, isn't it? It's what makes Pele the greatest, for example, or Ayrton Senna.
Okay, so point one then, he is great because he loses as much as he wins, but when he loses with style. He's not sat at the back of the bunch. Then secondly, I think, he's not afraid to mix things up, is he? Cycling is a sport of rules, more rules, and then a few extra rules that aren't written down just to be on the safe side. But he's not afraid to break them, or maybe he just doesn't care.
Like not shaving his legs, for example. I mean, in the greater spectrum of life, that's not a particularly big deal, is it? But in pro cycling, that is huge. The world champion turning out to his first race of the season with 3 months' worth of leg hair growth. Wow, didn't expect that, did we?
No.
And then there's also his amazing flowing locks and the shaving off of said long hair.
And the beard.
Yeah, and beards. I mean, they're great, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
There's also, though, his accessibility. I mean, he's very good on social media. He makes quite a lot of videos, which are cool, if slightly quirky and perhaps I'd say slightly weird as well. But he's also very good at keeping his fans happy when he's not at races.
And also keeping his fans happy at races as well.
To be fair, most pro cyclists are reasonably happy to have selfies with fans, aren't they? But Sagan is just a bit different somehow. He's got an extra something special, which I think does mean that he is great. I think he's destined to make a long-term name for himself in cycling and beyond cycling.
Yeah, maybe the results don't matter that much after all. He's not the next Eddie Merckx, that much is clear. Maybe he's like the next Mario Cipollini, only with a stable relationship and more of a social conscience.
Well, we've not seen him naked yet, have we?
It's only a matter of time, mate. He'll get naked.
I can't help but think that in terms of pure results, he could be the next Marianne Vos.
He's got a long way to go before he gets to Marianne Vos. But actually, I like that comparison because she's got that whole road off-road thing going on.
Yeah.
And I personally would love to see him keep balancing or do more balancing of road and off-road. Because that way, that's the path to true greatness.
Yeah.
Dynamic, exciting, genius.
I would be inclined to agree with you, Si, as much as I hate to admit it. What we would like to know, though, are your views there at home. Where do you hold Peter Sagan in your hierarchy of cycling champions? And do you think it's wrong that he is judged against the likes of Eddie Merckx from a completely different era? You can let us know, as ever, in the comment section just down below.
You could also answer the question, actually, is it style over substance? Because I don't think we've actually answered that yet. Is he style over substance?
You answer it in the comments.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We shall start cycling shorts this week with some good news. And that is that Alberto Contador is back. Not as a competitive cyclist, but rather as an expert commentator with our friends at Eurosport.
Yeah, great news that, isn't it? Well qualified for the job. Going to provide some fascinating insight, I'm sure, for Spanish-speaking viewers. Although, actually, if you do ever need a translation from Spanish to English, you just got to ask Lloydie, haven't you?
Written at the top of the down tube there is "Querer es poder." That means love is power.
Yes, thank you for reminding everyone about that again, Si. Also in the news this week was some good news for us.
Really?
Yep. Well, actually not for us right now, because as we've previously established on another GCN show, neither of us, in fact, are currently middle-aged.
I'm not sure that's exactly what we established.
No,
but
Google told us that.
Yeah, Google also told you it was love is power, so it can't always be trusted, mate.
Well, that is true. Anyway, for people who are in that era of their lives, i.e. middle-aged, it really is good news, because a study that was published in Circulation,
One of our favourite journals.
it's in our top 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Showed that those people can reverse their heart disease risk through exercise.
Yeah, that's right. Fantastic news, isn't it? Now, the study did focus on people who were healthy but did not have a history of exercise. But the sweet spot, apparently, is 30 minutes of aerobic exercise 4 to 5 times per week. And that was then able to reverse the risks associated with heart disease for people that had had years of sedentary living.
Yeah, very good news indeed.
Fantastic.
It might sound nice and simple though, doing 30-minute bike rides, but the fact is that in the winter, particularly here in the UK, you would spend longer getting ready and cleaning yourself and your bike up afterwards than you would do on your bike.
That is true, actually. And in fact, getting changed in the winter sometimes, like putting certain overshoes on, actually that pretty much counts as aerobic exercise, isn't it, by the time you get on one?
Well, it does. Well, it would do if your cankles anyway. I find them easy to get on.
His ankles are looking big though, look.
You right?
My ankles!
Right, some more good news now, this time for the residents of San Francisco.
This really is a week of good news, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Fantastic.
Some new Ford branded bikes are about to hit the streets of that city. Now, as you very well know, Si, San Francisco is notorious for its very steep streets.
It was quite hard to lug my ankles.
You made it
there,
look,
yeah,
you
thank
made it look
Dan.
hard too. And as such, it's probably not the best suited city for your standard, quite heavy city bike. And
No.
Ford had obviously realised this because they will be adding to their fleet of city bikes in April with 250 e-bikes.
That is pretty cool, isn't it?
It is very
Even
cool.
better is that there's actually a scheme there that enables people on low incomes to get unlimited access for a year for just $5.
Oh wow, that is great, isn't
That's
it?
proper cool, isn't it? Now, actually, the UK's own hilly city, or one of them, Sheffield, are getting their own fleet of public hire bikes as well. Although, unfortunately, first bit of bad news, there's no E in front of this bike. You just got to pedal it.
Oh, it's going to be hard there. You say that's bad news, but it's actually good news for middle-aged people who haven't exercised much in their lives so far.
There we go. Positive spin. Right then, it's now time for our Chris Froome update. Dan, any news?
No, nothing on the Sabutamol case, but there is a bit of news. He has been uploading all of his rides to Strava since the start of the year. Some quite incredible rides, I have to add. And he's also crashed.
Yeah, no broken bones, just a bit of skin missing. One of those rides that stuck out for me was the fact it was 225 kilometres long, 2,000 metres of climbing, and he averaged 38k an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah, which leads me to think that perhaps there was some kind of motor pacing going on.
Well, it needs to be flagged then, surely.
Well, exactly. There could be a bit of controversy in that world this week, so flag that.
Yeah.
Sharpish.
Right, speaking of Chris Froome, do you remember a couple of years ago he posted that picture where he got severe sunburn after riding South Africa?
I do, yeah.
Well, Louis Meintjes of Team Dimension Data has taken that to another level. Have a look at this picture.
Oh!
How painful does that look?
Man,
If you see
alive.
Louis, don't be slapping him on the back.
No, don't. Man, he looks like a Danish flag.
Or
Poor lad.
Danish, or hot cross bun, one of the two.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. He might not be the pro in the most amount of peril this week, though. Check out this tweet from Koen de Kort. That's a pro in peril.
Oh
Look
my
at that.
goodness. Do you think he was a bit unnerved by being in that situation? Because it's quite hard to tell from his facial expression there.
Tech of the week now, and the Consumer Electronics Show took place last week. There were a few bits of interest to cyclists, although I will confess, Dan, I do think a lot of smart tech feels a little bit forced rather than actually genuinely servicing a need from cyclists. But there was this little nugget from Trek that I think will definitely be of interest.
Yeah, there was. They are working with Ford and Tome Software on a bicycle-to-vehicle communication system. The idea being that your bike will then be able to alert cars, and in particular self-driving cars, of your presence.
Yeah, because vehicle-to-vehicle communication is increasingly becoming a thing whereby cars can use a certain type of software and cellular technology or something called direct short-range communication to actually converse with one another. But until now, vulnerable road users, like cyclists, have been left out of this conversation.
Thankfully though, that now looks set to change. Trek and Tome are hoping that this could become an industry standard, which would be quite useful, wouldn't it, given the struggles that autonomous cars appear to have with us unpredictable cyclists.
Some cyclists, I think, are probably more unpredictable
Yeah.
than others there. Right, now some more tech news that's of a very futuristic type, this time from Finland. Nanocellulose is the new wonder material. Its uses are many and varied, but basically it comes from wood pulp. And in the case of bikes, it can be made into a material with very similar properties to carbon fibre.
Like this one, the world's first in fact. This was produced by a company called Ideas to Cycles, who have found a way of winding nanocellulose into tubes, then joining it all together using carbon lugs.
Yeah, a long way to go, I think, before the whole bike is made out of sustainable materials, but it seems like a pretty positive start.
It does, and thankfully, unlike other cellulose research, this one doesn't come from reused toilet paper.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, Dan. Right, moving swiftly back to the present day, and Kask have just released their new aerodynamic road helmet called the Utopia. They say that it's the most aerodynamic road helmet they've made, and I think it looks pretty cool, to be fair. And actually, more importantly, they say that it is cool because they worked hard with their partner Sky in order to make sure that it was usable even in hot weather as well. And they say they've achieved that.
Well, Norwegian neo-pro Christopher Halvorsen has put a lot of those things to the test already. It's very hot for the People's Choice Classic in Adelaide, so he put that to the test. He was going very fast in the sprint near the end. He put that to the test.
He was
as
looking
well.
aero.
Unfortunately for him, he also put the safety features to the test because he had this very nasty crash. That was one of those awful crashes, isn't it, where you just know you're going down quite a long way before you actually hit the deck.
The type of crash, Dan, that's it's quite fresh in our minds, actually, isn't it?
It is.
We will keep the racing news brief this week because, well, Dan covered most of it yesterday in the new GCN Racing News Show, and also John Chocolate Voice Bevan brought you a race report from the People's Choice Criterium, as in fact he will be bringing you race reports from each stage of the Tour Down Under. Make sure you check out those videos if you haven't already.
I heard John warming up for his voiceovers earlier.
I bet that was quite nice to
Dreamy.
listen to.
Absolutely dreamy. What we would like to say though is a huge congratulations to Amanda Spratt of Mitchelton Scott.
Yeah.
She backed up last year's Tour Down Under overall victory with another one this time around.
Yeah, I'm so happy, and it's thanks to these girls. They did an amazing job with the last few days, and great win for the team.
And in fact, it was an incredible race for Australians. Not only did they win the overall with Amanda, they also won the teams classification, the points classification, the King of the Mountains classification,
Right.
and all 4 stages. In fact, the only thing they didn't win was the youth classification. That went to Grace Anderson,
And where's she from again, Dan?
New Zealand.
Huh. So Southern Hemisphere 1, Northern Hemisphere 0.
Well,
Right.
Southern Hemisphere about 7.
Yeah, okay, good point. We would also like to give a very big, heartfelt GCN congratulations to Katie Compton. She just won, and I paused because it's quite remarkable, her 14th consecutive national cyclocross title on Sunday.
That is an absolutely incredible record, isn't
Bonkers.
it? I mean, I've got no idea whether this sort of thing has been done before somewhere in the world. Maybe it has. But what I'm pretty sure of is that that won't ever happen again.
No.
Well done, Katie.
You know what we should have done, Dan? Having thought about it, instead of, trying to rescue sheep and not fall off, we should have asked Jeremy Powers to have ordered a wattage bazooka, seeing as it was his idea in the first place.
Yeah. Now let's stick with the world of cyclocross for a few more moments, because it appears that the elite side of cyclocross might be about to have a little bit of a shake-up. There have been rumours that there are proposals for a new cyclocross Super League.
That's right. The idea is that there are currently so many different leagues and classifications going on that actually the general public are so confused that they are stopping to go and actually watch races.
And losing interest, which I think is fair enough, because we get confused with all the different series, don't we? And it's our job to cover them.
Exactly. So the proposal is that the 25 biggest races will join up to form this new Super League with one easy to follow classification.
That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Although not everybody is in agreement with these proposals. For example, former world champion Bart Wellens. He claims that these reduced attendances at races are simply down to the fact that it's far easier, warmer and more convenient to sit on your sofa at home and watch the races live on television. And he also fears that some of the smaller races might fall by the wayside if they're not included in the new Super League.
I think he's right actually with that. But you do also have to say, well, maybe something does need to be done because, well, let's put it quite starkly. We've got the World Cup, we've got the Super Prestige, we've got the DVV, we've got the Soudal Trophy, we've got the Brico Cup, to name but 5 of the classifications. So you could see how they could simplify it ever so slightly, don't you?
Controversial though if you're suggesting some smaller races get put by the wayside.
Well, I know, and to be fair, one of the best things about cyclocross is how often we get to see the big hitters racing, isn't it? Which, you wouldn't want to see that change in any way, shape or form.
No, let us know your thoughts on this. Do you think that the elite level of cyclocross needs a complete revamp, or is it absolutely fine as it is? I personally just think we need some more Van der Poels and Wout van Aerts, so that it's more like the women's racing where you get different winners each week rather than the 2 same names. It is time now for Hack /Bodge of the week, and this week we're actually starting with an update. You might remember this work stand from Jakub, which was over his bath, and we did kind of inquire on the GCN show about what his bath looks like after
We were
cleaning his
pretty
bike.
concerned, weren't we, Dan, about the state of his bath?
Well, he's shown us. This is what it looks like when he's finished cleaning his bike, and that is exactly why 30-minute aerobic bike rides in the winter just aren't worth it, are they?
No, our concern was well founded. That bath does not look like it's in good shape, does it?
No. Next up, we had this as well from Julian Rotariu. He has designed a 3D printed mount on which he can mount both his Wahoo Element bolt and also his light.
I like it, Dan. It is very neat. We always applaud centrally mounted lights, but I have one slight reservation about this. One of the whole things about a Wahoo bolt is that it saves you 1.5 watts over its competitor from being super aero, and I just wonder whether he's lost a little bit of that maybe with this
he
mount.
could file the end of those bolts off to start with, couldn't he?
Well, exactly. That's 0.1 watt there, so maybe that could be like prototype 1, and prototype 2 could be, you know,
the aero one.
Fully aero. Yeah. So
work to be done.
Back to the drawing board, please. But otherwise, it's a hack in the making.
Yeah. Next up, we have got a 1x bookshelf. Well, not the whole bookshelf, but this comes in from Chris P. Dunn.
A bookend. I like that.
That's the word I was looking for. End.
Yeah.
It's a bookend. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like that. Maybe get a bigger chainring. Maybe see if you can borrow one of Tony Martin's old
58,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah, just so that, you know, you've actually got some real support for that quite weighty looking tome on the end there. This one, well, this looks remarkable. Sent in by G. Shesinfu. I've probably pronounced that perfectly. It's basically a river raft with a bike on the middle that powers a propeller.
Yeah. What
Amazing.
I like is the first comment, or the only comment, in fact, on his post. It says, "You drive this thing with a bike?" Somebody just can't believe it.
What accent was that, Dan?
It was just my own voice, I thought.
Yeah, right.
Didn't even need to do an accent, as I can't do them. Next up, from Citizen Velo, I'm going to call that a pot plant. He crashed his helmet, but rather than throw it out, he's turned it into a pot for a plant.
Good planting scheme there. I like the cactus. Right then, this one. We always like a nice, attractive bit of bike storage inside the house.
Oh, yeah, that's
and here
very
we
neat.
go. 4s, 3s, and 6s sent in this one. That looks cool, doesn't it?
It does.
Clearly a big fan of giants as well. So that's a TT bike, an aero road bike, and a cross bike by the look of it.
Well, I hope he's a giant too to get to that top bike. Must be quite high up.
Hey!
Don't forget to keep sending in your hacks and bodges, because we really do love looking at all of them each and every week. We are now moving on to Caption of the Week, which is your chance to get your hands on a GCN Camelback water bottle. We have a winner to announce from last week's photo, that winner being Stephen Crane. His caption is, "Christoph asks if he looks all white." Christoph, all white?
You
I
see,
like that one.
you got to be pretty witty to get your hands on one of these GCN Camelback water bottles.
Yeah, you do.
Genius. Right, this week's photo for you to get your teeth stuck into is this one of Koen de Kort.
No, I've got another photo of him.
Yeah. He looks a little less terrified this time.
Well, it's
Marginally,
still a
perhaps.
slightly forced smile.
Yeah, it is. Right, Dan,
Yeah,
go on
I'm
then.
going to get you started on this.
Flex your caption muscles.
Is that a snake on your head, or are you just pleased to see me?
Right. Well, yeah. So obviously, the floor is now yours. Get involved in the comment section rather, underneath, and we will pick the best one.
Yeah, and you will win a GCN Camelback water
Take
bottle.
your hands off that, Dan. You've not got it this week.
So I forgot to say to you, Stephen Crane, as the winner of this week's caption, get in touch with us on Facebook with your address, and we'll send the bottle out to you.
Right, a bit of an upgrade now from Camelback water bottles. We've got the results of our Physique Infinito R1 Movistar Edition shoe giveaway. In fact, we've got 3 pairs to give away.
And therefore 3 winners. I think it's time for a drum roll. Our winners are Michael Berman.
Oh!
Sorry to all other Michaels. Toby Atkins and Petter Evertson.
Congratulations to you 3.
Yeah, we will be in touch with you on this occasion, and we'll send these out very soon indeed. I'm quite jealous. Or are we getting some?
I think you've just got to remain jealous, Dan. Right, before we get on to what is coming up on the channel this week, we thought we'd take the opportunity, as we always do, just to go over some of our favourite comments that you have left underneath our videos from the past week. And actually, I think we've got to say, GCN Racing News Show, Episode 1, comments overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah,
Swedish
thank you.
House FIFA, a nice one from you. old school GCN News Show without the cringe. That's a reference to our earliest days.
Yeah, I'm sure people are still cringing, just hopefully not as many.
Welcome back. You're watching the Global Cycling Network with me, Simon Richardson.
Right, fair enough. And then a lot of comments about Dan's hair. Joshua Heaton said, I didn't know Jedward were appealing for a third member.
Yeah. If you don't know who Jedward are, look them up. There was quite a lot of luft last week. I've tried to tone it down.
To be fair, Dan,
this week,
the majority of comments were overwhelmingly that you, still have the very best hair on GCN.
Yeah, I used to enjoy reading those, but I've been thinking about it, and I'm not sure that's much of a compliment.
No, I'm afraid it isn't much of a compliment, but anyway,
right,
you go. Still bossing it.
On the channel this week, on Wednesday, we have a new video on how to climb, but this one, it's one with a difference because it's from someone who really can climb.
Oh yeah.
A certain Emma Pooley, formerly of the Cervelo test team, don't you know, and a recent winner of the Taiwan Karen Challenge, and of course a world champion in the past as well. So she certainly has the credentials to teach you how to climb.
It turns out there are a lot of Cervelo test team stories that we still haven't heard. It's been a particularly eventful couple of days,
brilliant
hasn't it?
to swap anecdotes.
Oh, this one time Emma on the Cervelo test team was so funny.
Right, on Thursday we have our top 5 iconic bikes of all time. Don't forget also that John Bevan will be bringing you highlights of the Tour Down Under each and every day that it's on. So from Tuesday through to Sunday. And
on Sunday we have got a big feature as well. Dan and I got to have a look at those 650B wheels with larger tyres on, and it's been interesting. Thoroughly good fun. Not to mention saving sheep and all that kind of stuff.
They're not very good on ice, are they? Or are they?
Ooh.
Oh, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, not long to wait now. Monday, GCN Racing News Show, episode 3, with Santos Tour Down Under results, I guess, amongst other things.
And the Tour de San Juan Internacional with Fernando Gaviria, amongst others. And then, of course, on Tuesday, we're back here with episode 263. We shall conclude with Extreme Corner. Now, we haven't told you this yet, but our man from the tech channel, John Cannings, is currently in Adelaide for the Tour Down Under, and whilst there, he has uncovered quite a secret skill, actually, from Team Trek Segafredo rider Fumi Beppu.
Well, cracking skills on show there. That is extreme, but not as extreme as this.
That wasn't what you were expecting, was it?
No, it wasn't very extreme after all, was it?
Held it up.
Nice
Thankfully
save,
for Si.
Dan.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have been down as well. High five.
Yeah. Pure luck.
Before we leave you, if you've enjoyed it, you can give us a thumbs up just down below this video. And if you haven't visited our shop recently, you can do so now by clicking on the link. And there you will find, amongst many other things, our brand new hoodies and sweatshirts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these new colourways, that's for sure. Right, do make sure that you head over to the GCN Tech channel if you haven't already, particularly this week because, as Dan's already said, John Cannings is out in the Tour Down Under and he is sifting through, with his eagle eye, because he does have an eagle eye, doesn't he, through all the pro bikes out there to find the very best tech that there is on offer. So there will be videos coming up on that channel, as well as the tech show, which I believe will be coming from Adelaide.
Yeah, maybe you haven't seen last week's tech show just yet. Si and John are talking about one buy.
Is it a compromise too far? That one is just down there.